Hello and welcome to our channel, Living in Charlotte, NC, Living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the reason we named it that is because we talk only about what's going on in the Charlotte market, the general vicinity, maybe outside of Mecklenburg County, just around the general Charlotte market. And today what we're going to talk about, something that's in the top 2 or 3 that people moving here want to know about, and that is the school system. So we're going to discuss the top 3 private schools in Charlotte, North Carolina, so stick around. Silva with Long Tab Realty here in Charlotte, and if this is your first time to this channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the bell, and you will be the first to get notified when we put out new videos, which we do about twice a week right now. We get calls, texts, emails, and sometimes get on Zoom calls with clients all the time that are thinking about moving to Charlotte, living in Charlotte, and want to know some of the details from somebody who's lived here for a good long time, and that's me. So if you're thinking about coming here in 10 days, 10 weeks, 10 months, we'd love to talk to you. So in the description down below, we will give you a URL link if you want to connect on a Zoom call. And you can pick the date and how much time you want to spend, and then we'll get on a call sometime and discuss Charlotte. So leave us comments, leave us a text message, give us a call if you want to. Let us know what you'd like to hear more about on this channel. But right now, we're going to jump into the top 3 schools in Charlotte. So here we go. As you may or may not know, the public school system in Charlotte is called CMS, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. There's about 180 schools total. I think the last time I counted or looked, there were 47, 48 high schools, and I know there are a couple of them going up right now. Valentine Ridge is going to be the newest one that opens up in 2025. So if you are moving here and you're looking at neighborhoods, make sure you know what school you're going to go to if you go to public school. There's about 145,000 public school students. As far as private schools go, there are somewhere around 80 private schools, and that's somewhere between 15 and 20,000 students at those private schools. Homeschooling picked up quite a bit during COVID. Not sure if it's still escalating or not, but there you go with homeschooling, private schools, and public schools. Okay, what we're going to use right now for this video is niche.com, and that's what we're going to use to rank these schools. They've got certain criteria they've gathered from data from the Census Bureau, from the FBI, and the Department of Education, as well as, this is incredible, 100 million reviews and surveys from parents, students, and also people that live in neighborhoods around the school, so you'll get a better idea of what the area feels like around the private school. They've gathered all this data and more and put it into an algorithm and then spit out some numbers. And they don't just use the numbers, they also look at those surveys to help with some more relative factors to come up with school number 1, school number 2, number 3, and so on. So without going any further with some of the data, we're going to go ahead and jump right into school number 1, and it's one that I know pretty well. As an FYI, I've had kids in both private and public school, and so I can tell you a little bit about each. But the number 1 private school in Charlotte, North Carolina, for niche.com is Providence Day School. And Providence Day School was opened in 1970. What we're going to do for each of these schools is kind of go down a list where niche.com ranked the schools with an A, A+, A-, B, B+, in a couple different categories, and we'll go down each one. So for Providence Day School, for overall niche.com grade, they gave it an A+, and actually all 3 of these schools are A+. For academics and college prep, they also gave Providence Day an A+. Now, as far as diversity, sports, teachers, and clubs and activities, they gave those an A. Now, I'm sorry, clubs and activities, they gave Providence Day School an A+. Providence Day School's got a 9-to-1 student-teacher ratio and about 1,903 students overall, and these are all from pre-K or TK or kindergarten up till 12th grade. So these are from getting to school to graduating, all 3 of these schools. What you're going to hear about from all 3 of these schools too are where their students go to school. And Providence Day has 100% of their graduates going on to secondary education, college. Number 1 school is UNC, University of North Carolina. Number 2, go Wolfpack, is NC State. And number 3 is Wake Forest. And the funny thing is, all 3 of these schools, that's number 1, number 2, and number 3. UNC, NC State, and Wake Forest. When you get down to number 4 and 5, we'll get to those. They change a little bit. For Providence Day School, the 4th most popular college is Duke, and number 5 is Vanderbilt. And they have a 100% graduation rate at Providence Day. And you should, because you're paying a lot of money to go to Providence Day. As a senior, your tuition would be around $30,000, $31,000. For the lower schools, it's a little bit lower, and it gradually increases every couple of years. For more information on Providence Day, go to providenceday.org. Something I'll mention about Providence Day, because I do have experience there. My son went to grade TK through 6th grade, and then we put him in public school, which he absolutely loved and excelled in public school. My daughter also went to Providence Day from, I think, 1st grade to 3rd grade, and God bless Providence Day for is determining that my daughter had a little bit of a learning deficiency, and she went to a private school. We'll talk about at the end of this. So listen to private school number 4. She went there for a couple of years, and I'll talk about that later. But I think if we were in public schools, we're told that we may not have found out about that learning deficiency soon enough, which she did get corrected and then mainstreamed later on. So we're so thankful to Providence Day for that. And probably the other schools may have figured it out too. Their teachers sometimes go through a little bit of extra training to identify those things. Also at Providence Day, and I'm sure these are the same at the other schools, and we'll talk about it a little bit, is they all have great after-school activities. At Providence Day, they call it extended school. We love that. My son and daughter both stayed there at extended school, where they do some additional teaching and outdoor activities, but they're really well cared for. And they have great summer programs as well. They could be academic, they could be athletic. I think we even sent my son to a manners class one summer. I'm not sure if he picked up a lot from that manners class when he was in 1st or 2nd grade. As far as transportation to and from your home to the school, all 3 of these do have bus transportation that is available. There's an extra cost, and they will pick up your student at various sites throughout the city. Typically, because all 3 of these are in South Charlotte, typically those sites are going to be at shopping centers or at other schools or at just prominent locations around South Charlotte. Last thing I'll say about these schools is they all look like college campuses. I went to school, a small school in northern New Hampshire, and these schools look like a small college. So new buildings going in every once in a while, academic buildings, athletic buildings, just beautiful environments there. All right, school number 2 out of the top 3 in Charlotte is Charlotte Country Day School, the Buccaneers. One thing I forgot to mention about Providence and Charlotte Latin and Country Day, all 3 of these just have fantastic athletic programs. Providence Day has won 3 straight state titles in that private school sector, and I think they were also nationally ranked. Their quarterback's going to Michigan. They've got the #1 ranked high school lineman in his class as a junior. So big time sports at these schools. Charlotte Country Day is right up there with them in different sports and Latin. I know they've got a great lacrosse program. They've had great football programs. So all these schools are athletically talented. So let's talk about Charlotte Country Day. They were founded in 1941, one of the older private schools here in Charlotte. They also received an A+ in overall niche grade, academics, and college prep. They received a B+ in sports, a B in diversity, an A in teachers, and clubs and activities also gave them an A. And if you read some of the reviews online about these schools, you're going to see some where they're not great, but most of those are going to get 5s, 4s, 3.5 stars or plus. So they get some pretty good reviews from students and parents. They also get their reviews that talk about, oh, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, and that's valid. So the student-teacher ratio at Charlotte Country Day is 8-to-1, and there are 1,738 students at Country Day. Now, Country Day is split up. Their upper school and lower school are in 2 different locations, but that's really worked out well for them. Now, if you want to look them up online, go to charlottecountryday.org, and you'll find out more details about Charlotte Country Day at that site. They also have a 100% graduation rate, and most of their students, like I said, are going to UNC, NC State, Wake Forest. Number 2 is Duke again, and then number 3 is Clemson. Their yearly tuition for those seniors is currently $28,010. That might have changed for next year, but that's the number that I was given by niche.com, $28,010. And again, Country Day it's got the same programs that you got to find at Providence Day and Latin in the summer, after school. I don't know if they've got preschool programs. I couldn't find that, but they also have bus service to Country Day. One thing that's kind of cool that I didn't find on Providence Day that I did find on Latin and Country Day is the percentage of students that feel safe, 88%, and the percentage of students that feel happy. This was not a parent survey, this was a student survey. So 88% felt safe there on their campus, 75% felt happy. All right, here we go with school number 3, and this is the third best, according to niche.com, private school in Charlotte. Now, again, this is in Charlotte. There were a couple schools that were right outside of Charlotte. I think one was Gaston Day, that was rated number 2 in the region. Providence Day is number 2 in the state, and Country Day is number 4 in the state. There are a couple of right around Charlotte that are ranked highly as well. Right, so school number 3, you already know this, is Charlotte Latin School, and they were founded in 1970. The thing I like about Charlotte Latin School, aside from their sports and their academics and all that good stuff, is it is much more wooded and rolling hills than you're going to find at Country Day or Providence Day. I love their environment. I've always liked that about Charlotte Latin. Lots of woods, lots of greenery. They've got some great athletic facilities, as do the other schools, but that greenery, to me, has them stand apart. And they got an A+ in academics and overall niche grade and diversity. And college prep. And they were the number 6 North Carolina private school. So nice rankings. As far as diversity goes, Latin got a B-, their sports got an A, and their teachers got an A. And again, the clubs and activities department got an A+. The student-teacher ratio at Charlotte Latin is 8-to-1, the same as Country Day, and Providence Day, you might remember, was a 9-to-1 ratio. The top 3 schools, all the same, UNC, NC State, and Wake Forest, and if I didn't say so, these are where their college-bound students are all going to go the next year. Now, they've kind of reversed number 4 and 5 from Country Day. Country Day, it was 4 was Duke, and 5 was Clemson. Here at Latin, 4 is Clemson, and 5 is Duke. And if you want to find out more about Charlotte Latin online, go to charlottelatin.org. The yearly tuition at Charlotte Latin is just over $22,000 for a senior. And as I said earlier, you start with a much lower tuition when you're in kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And as you get in the older grades, inflation, cost of living, all that stuff is going up, and so is the cost of tuition for these private schools. As far as the safe and happiness factor go at Latin, 93% of the students said they felt safe there, and 79% of the students said they felt happy. And that could just be, like I said, the woodsy, green, tree-filled atmosphere around Charlotte Latin. And like I said before, all 3 of these schools do provide some sort of transportation for students that might not live nearby. You're going to see long lines of parents dropping off and picking up students every day at these schools. We lived in those lines, but it was worth it at the time. And these are 3 great schools. There are several more that are fantastic schools that have great reputations around the Charlotte area, but we'll get into those later, and then we'll also do public schools later on. Okay, so what I told you I was going to do is give you a little bit of a bonus, and one school I want to talk about right now is the Fletcher School in South Charlotte. Fletcher School, I think it's nationally famous for those in need. It caters to people with, or students with, an ADHD type scenario or some sort of a learning disability. I don't think we call it disability anymore, but I'm sorry about that. My daughter was tested and found out we had a learning disability. She was at a 98th percentile in processing speed, which is amazing. However, she just looked at things differently. She went to Fletcher School for just 3 years, and they've got about 300 students there, and there's a waiting list a mile long. So they don't need you to hang out there, and they encourage you to mainstream your student when they think they're ready. And in 3 years, my daughter completely revamped the way she learns things, went to a private school that had a smaller environment, Carmel Christian, great school for her, and then went on to App State and just graduated in May with about a 3.79 GPA in interior design. And there was a lot of math and spatial recognition, all that sort of thing. And she was a cum laude student, or whatever you call those, with the higher GPA than I had. So both my children ended up one went to private school, the other one went to public school. He was a 4.7 student and went on to NC State. So you get some great schools. I do think, this is my little personal opinion, that a lot of times it's all about the student and the parents and the people they hang around with. So those are the top 3 private schools in Charlotte. We're going to get to the public schools down the road, and then we're going to hit the elementary and the middle schools at a later date. So if you like this, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a thumbs up, make some comments. Tell me if you went to some of these schools and I made a mistake on some of the comments, or you know something that is valuable to others that might make comments, please put them in there. and let us know what you want to know about as far as coming to Charlotte. So that's it. I appreciate your time, and hope I see you down the road in Charlotte.